Hello, wonderful disruptors from around the globe. We are on for another empowering, masterful episode of Mindset Mastery Moments with yours truly. And today, as you can see, I have a radiant guest here on screen with me. And I can't wait to tell you about Melanie Ann Layer. She is the founder of Alpha Femme Brand, a global coaching and mentoring company that's transformed the online space since 2017. She has been creating an innovative pathway, an approach to marketing where she has brought in over $70 million in just a few short years through inspiring women worldwide to redefine success on their own terms. And that is kind of my favorite part about her work is she works with women and she is helping them redefine success. But that's not all. Melanie teaches the focus on emotional intelligence. You guys know we talk about that here a lot. Feminine leadership and wealth energetics, where I can't wait to unlock that in her. She teaches financial abundance while celebrating the sovereignty of freedom. Melanie, it is our absolute privilege and honor to have you today on Mindset Mastery Moments to give us all the goods on channeling our feminine energy. So listen, if you are a female entrepreneur or a female leader, this episode is especially for you. But we welcome our men because I know you all are going to learn some really good, solid, transformational stuff from Melanie. Melanie, welcome again, and we're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. So, Melanie, we're just going to dive right in because we know that your time is priceless and you have made a little bit of a sacrifice being on with us today. So tell us, Melanie, you speak about masculine and feminine energies a lot, which everyone knows. I have done my best to research and I talk, but I am not an expert like you. How have you integrated this into your life and business building?
You know, when I first found masculine and feminine energetics, the whole concept kind of blew my mind because I'd never even heard of energetics the first time I really dove into these concepts. But I found it because I was going into the realm of relationships. When I first started this career, it was in 2013, before the Alpha Femme Brand, and I was a life coach. And I used to help in relationships, and I used to help women really, and men at that point, women and men really fall in love with their lives as they were. And one of the things that really fascinated me in my own journey, because I landed myself, in a very unfortunate space in my own life, is I was doing the research for myself as well. I was trying to figure out why the dynamics in my relationships weren't working out, why I always ended up being the provider, the mothering energy, the one that had to do everything. And it's like I had an epiphany. I realized I don't think this is supposed to be this way. I was seeing energetics like being the muse, being the goddess, the siren, the energetic, attractor. And I was like, I am so far from that. Why have I never even heard of these concepts? And so it was in kind of understanding the beautiful dance of masculine and feminine energy in relationships that I also started to understand how those work in business, how those work in any typical relationship. And it really fascinated me. And so I actually spent a year of my life with that being the only thing I studied. I wanted to know the ins and outs of masculine and feminine energetics in everything. How does this affect us? Our own balance of masculine and feminine energy. And so that's how I dove into this at first.
Wow. So we do have a master on this at this point, because I'm sure 1 year, they say 12,000 hours, you have mastered something. And of course, it's been more than that. I know you studied more. But what pivoted you, if you can just take us back to a little bit of your background story and share a little bit about your journey and how you overcame some monumental challenges that everyone who knows your platform knows that you've done some really what would be impossible things before you even got started and got in this space that you just shared us about with learning about masculine and feminine energy.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the journey, my first life kind of ended in 2013. I was a I don't even know how to explain it. You know how when you watch QVC, you watch people who sell like ShamWow and Slap Chop and those kind of things. I did that.
Okay.
infomercials in stores. So I would go into a store, gather a crowd, and show people a product, and then they could buy it. And I liked it. I was good at it. I was, it was a lighthearted job. It was a commission-only sales job, and I did very well at it. I was the best in the company at it, but there was no purpose to it. Like I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel like I was doing something great for the world. It was really hours that I was working, and then I got paid in exchange for those hours. It was lighthearted work and I enjoyed it. But I was with this partner that I'd been with for 7 years, and I knew the whole time we were together from very early on that it was not the right person, but I couldn't leave. And this was not the first time in my life I'd got caught in a relationship I knew wasn't the right one and I couldn't leave. That tended to be a pattern, but this was definitely the longest time. And so I even got him all tangled in my job, and I got him as the manager, and then I was the trainer, and we were trying to make it happen, but it's a job that had no purpose.
Right.
Just feel my life closing in on me at this point. I'm 25 years old. Things just don't feel right. I end up breaking up with the guy. He fires me from my job. And so I know. And so they tell me, you can keep your job, but you've got to work 200 kilometers outside of your hometown, and you're going to have to go and do like the outskirt stores that nobody works at.
Wow.
So I thought, well, I have no choice. So I booked a hotel and started working in those stores, and I just couldn't sell. I was so angry. I was so heartbroken. And so my finances just went through the floor. And my parents had been telling me for a while that they didn't approve of the guy, but I didn't have a great relationship with my parents because at that point they didn't approve of anything I did. And I had a story that they didn't care about me and they didn't like me. And that was where I was with everything. No friends, my family at odds, broken up with the guy, 200 kilometers away from my hometown. Next thing, I can't afford the hotel room. Wow. And I ended up going bankrupt. And I was sleeping in the front seat of my Honda Civic in a snowstorm in the middle of a hardware store parking lot trying to sell $5 mops. It was a nightmare. Like I was so disappointed with myself and so I just couldn't see how I would ever bounce back from it. It just felt like that was the end of my life. But for some reason, I one night I was in a bad way. I was not happy. And I Googled how to make your ex-boyfriend cry on Google. I was not in a good place. But the thing is, I don't know, like God altered the Google search because what came up for me was how to have the relationship of your dreams, how to do this, how to do that. And I was like, I was sitting in my car and I felt ashamed of what I had written. I was like, why didn't I write that?
Right.
And so it kind of got me thinking, I'm still making all my life about him and I'm making it about making him cry instead of making me happy. Like, what is all this? Yeah. And so I started diving into personal development for my own sake from the front seat of that car, completely bankrupt. I had no money. I was doing all the free stuff at first. And then eventually I just gave up on food. I gave up on everything so I could buy little programs here and there. And by a miracle, I had a friend call me going through something, and everything I'd learned, I kind of just shared. And she was like, oh my gosh, you're really good at this. And so a few weeks later, she called me and she said, you need to be a coach. You need to do this. I have a friend that wants to hire you. And I was like, no. Like at this point, I'm sleeping in the front seat of my car. I said, no, I don't do that. She said, well, you have to. She wants to hire you. I've already told her that you're amazing. And I said, I'm not. I've just been reading these books and I've been doing this research and that's all it is. And she said, I read those books. That's not what you did. That's not what you did. You did something else. I'm telling you, you've got to do this. And oh my gosh. And so I took my first life coaching call from the front seat of my car. And I started a business called The Invisible Coach. And what I did is I helped people find the silver lining in their lives as the life was. So I didn't tell people I'm going to help you change your life. I told people we're going to look at the life you have and I'm going to help you fall in love with it. And that's what I did for the longest time. As the invisible coach, I built a 6-figure business from the front seat of my car. And then year after year, it got better and better and more until I became who I am. But it was a 1 year at a time kind of process.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I love that. The invisible coach. The thing I love that came out of all this, of course, the resounding triumph of resilience. But you said something that a lot of us miss. And this is something that I find myself as I work with clients, as I even have conversations with friends and so on. It's you're always making stuff about other things, other people. When I just posted earlier today that you're going to have to figure out that you are the love of your life.
Mm.
You are the love of your life. And once you figure that out, you realize that you decide who to share this love and abundance with that comes from within for your lover and other people you choose. And then you just give your radiance. The thing you said about your coaching is that you did not try to get people to say, oh, I'm going to magically get you to be transformed, get a new career, get a new job, launch a new business. You're like, I first want you to see you as your magnificent self. And then from that place, you have a jump start into the greatness that you want, the other things that you desire, because I always love it that everything is within you. You're perfect, whole, and complete. Now you just have to reconnect with that. So let's talk about that word, the R word that we just love on Mindset Mastery Moments. I feel it's the biggest mindset that a lot of us miss is the resilience mindset. How did you maintain alignment and resilience in the face of that whole adversity? You kind of told us that you went into the book, but what did that truly look like on a daily basis when you were, like you said, sacrificing food, whatever you needed? What did that look like? Like, what was your thought process at that time?
It's so wild because I actually really remember very specific moments of decisions that I made and how they happened. But I had this one moment when I was sleeping in my car and it was late at night and I couldn't sleep and I was trying to journal. I was trying to think and I was just it was very weird because I realized how intense it is to be with your own thoughts in that moment. Up until then, if I was uncomfortable, I would eat something, I would drink something, I would go somewhere, I would watch TV, like I would numb with something. I'd call someone, I'd talk about it. Like you just don't sit with yourself and think in life when you're uncomfortable. That's just not what we do. We do anything to get out of it. And I could not do anything at that point. It felt like I was just alone in the middle of, I could have been alone in the forest for all it was. Like I was just alone with all my feelings and all of my shadows. But I remember having this feeling and I was getting really frustrated because I had this thought of people who always say, everything happens for a reason. And I was battling with that, even though no one had said that to me because I was alone in my car. I could imagine someone telling that to me and I was getting frustrated about if someone said that to me. And I was like, that is so stupid. Like that sentence is so stupid. Like in what world does me sleeping in a car is for a reason, or me having no food is for a reason? And then I started thinking of all the other people in the world that it's not fair to say that to, like someone who's lost a child or someone who's struggling with a disease or someone. And I'm like, this is the worst thing. And I remember saying that to people, and this is so stupid. And it's such a privileged lens to look at the world through. And what about the people? And I was getting all caught up and I got this thought and it's as if it was given to me, the thought. And I heard it loud and clear. And it was just, if this is happening for me, now what? And it kind of stopped me in my tizzy. And I just thought that's a little different than what maybe that's what it's really supposed to mean. Like,
Right.
It's not everything happens for a reason. It's if in the end you're going to get to say that it happened for a reason.
Yeah.
Then what do you need to do to make it so? You could just as easily have something happen and it be the end of you. And so the question is, you have to choose. Either it's the end of you, or if it happened for you, then you've got to write the story now. And it just gave me this feeling. And I just started thinking about that. And I was like, imagine one day I get out of here and I get a job and I get employee of the month or something, and I have this chance to tell my story and it helps someone. And at first I was seeing that kind of scale, like if one day I'm able to help a person with this story. And then I got another thought, which was, and I wrote it down in my book. I remember exactly how I was sitting and when, and I wrote, live your life the way you want to tell the story in hindsight. And I think those two things in combination, if life happens for me, now what? And live my life the way I want to tell the story in hindsight, made it every twist and turn along the way. It was like, well, if one day I'm going to tell the story, what will I want to say that I did?
Come on.
And if I actually do that, well, then if I do that, something great will come of this. And eventually I'll have a story to tell. And so in conjunction, those two things together, I think are what kept the resilience in and the ability to keep going, even though I had it's seemingly no reason to keep going.
Right. Oh, that is so fire, I have to say. If I just pivot from if this was happening for me, now what? And then how would I want this story to be told in hindsight? Oh my goodness, and I'm paraphrasing, but I got that and I'm owning it even for myself. It's
Good.
the vibration that came off of you with that sits, and I hope you all at home or in your car, you're getting that. If you got to pull over and scream, go ahead and do, because that was one of those moments where it's like, okay, church. So Melanie, pivoting a little bit. So when it comes to it, you're obviously hearing your background story, your success is not traditional, so to
No.
speak. And you definitely did not do traditional marketing. You said you were in the front seat of your car, wherever you were at the time, and you started all this great work from the fact that you said, and this is what I hope everyone caught, because some things are taught and some things are caught. We heard the magnificent, but there was something you said that was so subtle that will make sense to where you are now. If I can just help one person, if I can just be employee of the month. What I heard was excellence. I heard commitment, and I heard that I was going to win, but not just for me, but I was going to help someone else win. And a lot of people look at your platform and what you've done in your work, and even the stuff that I've done, and they're like, oh my God, you're so great. But they don't understand that all this stuff came from me just wanting to number one, outlive the life that I had already created and do really well in the next phase, take in what I've gotten and really just see it and learn from it. And then the next thing was, how can I help somebody else win? It's
Yes.
really that simple for us, right, Melanie? And so someone on the other side is saying, so, well, you've done way more than become employee of the month. You probably
Yeah.
have employees of the month all over the world. How have you been able to build such a strong brand and attract loyal followers from around the globe? How did you do that?
You know what? This is one of my other sayings that I like to say, but I say this, you're going to wonder how to do it until you wonder how you did it. And I think that that is the most humble truth. It's like I sometimes look at what I've built and I'm like, how the heck did this happen? Because I do the same things now as I did then. I
Trust the
care.
car.
Yeah, I care about my clients. I see that they're amazing now. I want to help them become happy now and see their power now. And then of course we'll be able to go from where they are to where they want to be. But you won't get from where you are to where you want to be when you hate where you are. There has to be a
Mm.
peace that's made. There's got to be this is my starting point. You've got to have solid ground to build on. And so if you can just make peace with like, this is a great start to a good story. It doesn't need to
Ooh.
be better than this. This is good. This is okay. That's how I made peace with all of it, because I really was ashamed of my beginning. I didn't like my story. I didn't want that. I didn't want to have people to know that. I think that's a big part of why I was invisible, because I didn't want that to be part of the story. But I realize now in hindsight, that's a valuable part of the story.
Right.
And so it's like you can't beat yourself up for where you're starting, and it's got to be like, I guess this is where the story is starting. And if it was meant for me that the story starts here, then now what? What's my first move? What's the first thing? And I feel like the more it mattered, the more it mattered. I entered this like compound effect. And one of the
Mm.
things that has really been a leading edge for me, I think, and actually the topic of what I'm working on with my clients right now is identity work. Like
Mm.
this moment where my life shifted because how I identified shifted. Like I went from I sell mops in hardware stores like a QVC person, and I make okay money and I like my job and I'm the best,
Right.
to I help people change their lives. I help people reignite their marriages. I help people reignite their relationship with their children. I help people fall in love with their careers, get raises, become financially free. I help people do things just by accepting, loving, cherishing their lives. I'm helping people. I'm doing so good in this world. And so the more referrals I got, because I think that was like the mind-boggling thing for me. Every call felt like God orchestrated the call. I
Mm.
every time before every call I said, thank you so much for lending me this person. I promise to give them back to you better than you gave them to me.
Mm.
And I'd get on these calls like, this is a gift. I'm so grateful. Like I want to do everything I can. I listened like my life depended on it. I
Mm.
gave them everything I had. And it was crazy. The referrals would just come in multiple at a time. Like I have 3 people, I have 4 people, 5, and I spent my life on the phone in beautiful places. Eventually I would just travel in my car and just park in beautiful places and be on the phone with people and help them change their lives. But I think that's the beauty, is like you get here by doing there really well.
You get here by doing there really well. I can't tell you how many people who love and adore me in my journey has said, why are you giving so much to that when you know that they're not going to pay you half as much as what you're worth? And so when you say that, that has been my conviction, and I couldn't articulate it anywhere close to what you just did. You get there by doing very well while you're there.
Yeah, you get here where it's amazing by doing what was over there really well.
Really well.
Then next thing you know, you end up here and things are great. And then you do really well here, and then you next thing end up over there going really well.
Ooh.
But everything we become is a byproduct of what we did, who we were, how we acted, what we thought. And so if you can really work on who you are, not being so worried about fast tracking and changing, if you can like give everything you've got to the person you are, we can't change in another timeline than now. You want to change, you change now, because now becomes then. And by the time the future comes, it feels like now anyway. So this is the only time that you can affect change onto your life. So it doesn't matter what your big ambitions are, and it doesn't matter how bad it's been. All that matters is this one window of time where it's like, now what? Now what? Now what? And if you can just apply yourself and do your absolute best with all of your spirit right now, there's no telling what's going to happen, because momentum starts to build and the compound effect starts to kick in. And the real question is not how hard was life before, how much have I done before, or how bad was life or whatever. And it's not how am I going to become who I want to be. Is the truth that right now I'm doing everything that I know to do. And most people that don't have the lives they want right now would answer no to that question. Right now, I'm not. But I worked so hard in the past and I tried so hard. Or, I have such big goals and I don't know what to do. They wouldn't get to say, yes, right now I am doing all the things in the most passionate way with all of my spirit, knowing that I'm building myself from now, from today. That's not how we feel. And when it is, everything starts to change.
Wow. And you answered the question I was going to ask you, but I'm just going to lay it out because you might have something to add. That is so profound. One of the things I've been sharing with my partner is there's the goals we want. We want to get to 6-figure months, all these things in our businesses and our work. And the thing was, I said, one thing I feel like I've, in my meditation and my prayer is I'm held responsible in those conversations with God and his magnificence is, are you using everything that you have now? It's like, I've done really great and I've obviously been promoted along the journey, but it's like being in a class. And it's like, if you're in the 5th grade, you got to cover 5th grade content, learn it and get a passing grade to be, at least it used to be. I don't think it's like that anymore. But when I was growing up in the 80s, I had to pass that grade to be promoted to another grade. And it was because I would have taken the lessons and learned them and embraced being a 5th grader to be able to move into 6th grade. Do you think that life is of such when you give that whole analogy about mastering and owning the present and what you have now? Do you think that it's kind of like that? Like God, the universe is waiting on us to really take on in a spirit of excellence and wholeness what we are now, where we are now, to launch into future. Would you say that's kind of the concept behind that?
I really, really love your analogy. And what I also believe, because I struggled in school and I did not get a high school diploma, is that there are different intellects. And some people skip grades. And some people are held back because of one thing, but really they're a genius in another thing.
Yes.
And so really it's the only test I believe God, Mother Nature, the universe is testing us on, the only test that we're getting is it worth you receiving everything you ever wanted? Because will you even hold it? That's the only test. It's not like, are you good enough? Do you deserve it? It's more like, if I give this to you, are you going to freak out the first time there's something you've got to handle and put it down? Because there's not much of a point for you or anybody else at that point.
It doesn't. Oh, that's exactly it. I love you so much. I don't want to put something that will feel like a boulder and crush you because you're
Yeah.
not ready for it. It's at exactly. Oh my goodness. Oh, I hope you guys took that in and really hold it because a lot of us like, well, why is Melanie the one who got this versus me? That comparison, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the feminine stuff. But real quick, before we flip into what you do right now, for that person who's absolutely struggling right now to manifest their desires, what would you speak into them?
This is what I would say. Your desires are so beautiful and they're so big, but what's going to make them happen is when they affect change on everyone.
Mm,
When you having money is good for the world. When you having visibility is good for the world. When you having a voice is good for the world. That's when the manifestation kicks in. When the production that you want to put forward on the planet will impact the planet positively, the
mm,
universe, Mother Nature, God, the universe is going to cut you a check to say, let's make sure this person's got the funds to make their dreams come true because this is a production that's going to change the world. And so the first thing is it's difficult when we're down on ourselves and we don't think we're good enough to imagine that what we're actually doing is building something that's meant to affect change on the planet. A lot of times we're just thinking, I just want to be able to pay my bills properly. I just don't want to be stressed about this or that. What we don't think about is what's one more person that emancipates from the constricted feeling of money and the inability to be free and creative and that's not able to be there with their kids. Like, what is one person broken free from that going to do for the planet? What will you do once you break free? Who will you be? How will that help the world? And so when you start thinking about those things just a little bit bigger than you, I feel the universe comes in and supports you. But then there's something else you got to contemplate. Your dreams will affect other people. Your dreams will affect your partner. Your dreams will affect your
mm.
children. Your dreams will affect your family, your friends. They'll affect your community. Your dreams will affect. If you try it, what you say, I think I want this. I think I want this, and then it's just given to you, and
Yeah,
then you realize it's a lot. There's
yes.
a lot of responsibility, and there's some things you don't know, and there's some things you're not ready for. How does it serve all the people that your dream touches that you then give up on it? All
Mm,
the people who looked up to you to as their evidence of their dreams come true, all the people who hoped that your freedom meant their freedom, all the people who watched as you grew and thought one day I'll do that too. How does it serve them if you just crash it once you get it? It doesn't. And
yeah.
so it makes more sense that you're crafted and you're solid before you receive so that
Yeah,
you can be the example, you can be the story, you can be the one that people look at and say, because they did it, I can do it.
that's
I
right.
believe that. They were an example. They started here and now they're there. And if they can do it, I can do it. That's what we're ultimately wanting with these resilient stories. We don't want, oh, she got it for a year and then she lost it. Those stories make everybody terrified. And so
Exactly.
I think what it is we're tested to make sure that once we get everything we've always wanted, we will be the person that can hold it, grow it, and thrive with it. That's the only test.
That's the only test. There is a mic drop moment. I can't drop my mic, but I'm dropping it. And you all need to go back, listen again and again, and write and let the words that are coming off of Melanie today just go into, especially for those who know that they're called for more, because some people don't know yet, and that's okay. You can listen, but those who know, this is your sign. These are your marching orders of where you go back. If you feel like you're on the journey, you're stuck, even you've done so great, go back and listen. So, we're going to turn into the work that you actually do, Melanie. And let me just
I
tell you
actually
all,
say one thing because you made me realize something when you said that.
yes,
You know, you said not everyone is ready or wanting to do huge things, but I want you to consider something even on a smaller scale. Let's say
mhm,
you would like to get a promotion at your job.
come
You would
on.
like to be paid.
Yes,
So if you get a promotion at your job, is it fair to say that there's other people in that workplace that also wish they got promoted? Or there's people in your family that have also been wishing they get promoted. And so just a little promotion at your job also holds this. What if you get the
right,
promotion and then you're not ready for that level of responsibility and you mess it up and you quit? How is that helping anyone in the business or anyone in your family or anyone who looked up to you like, oh my gosh, she did it? Like, it
that's
doesn't
right.
help anybody. even in the smaller things in life. Like you want to manifest a relationship, but you're not doing the
Yes.
inner work, and you're just going to go with the first person that's there. And then
Yeah.
the people around you that have been single forever that just get so excited, like, oh my gosh, she broke free, she's got a partner, and then you guys break up in a few weeks because you weren't ready. How does that help anybody? So even on a smaller scale, this
Yes.
can be true.
Because manifesting your desires is what's big and important to you, no matter how big or small those desires appear to another person or in comparison to another person's, right? Perfect. That shuts it.
And we never know who's watching. We never know who's been inspired. We never know who's using us as evidence that their dreams can come true. And so sometimes the thing that is being blocked just so you don't drop someone else's dream right in front of their face. It's crazy.
Ooh.
I really do believe we're connected that way.
Yes, we are responsible. We talk about being our brother and our sister's keeper, but we might think of the immediate people, but there's someone from afar watching. There's that neighbor that just might see you coming and going with your Toyota, and then sees you come in with a Tesla, thinking, oh my gosh, I've been driving this little hoopty for so long. If he who drove that broken down Toyota for 5 years, and I've seen him, catching the bus every now and then, that means that car broke down, just come in here with a Tesla. What did he do? You don't know. They're just
Yes.
watching you through the shades. Or that young boy. I know my good friend, Dr. Cream, always talks about when he pulls up with his Porsches, how young boys would just approach him in shopping malls, outside of shopping malls. They are watching him. Just in that moment, watching him. If he had gotten out of the car and just snubbed them and then talked to them, or didn't engage their conversation, that will make them think that a successful man with a Porsche is a snob. And maybe I don't want to own a nice car because I don't want to be that mean person. You are so absolutely right. So it matters in all your dreams and desires that you have that mindset. Absolutely. So let's dive into what Melanie does with her clients. I mean, I'm going to tell you all, I have dived into her website and her work, and she is going to be my next coach and mentor, because believe it or not, no matter how great you think you are, you need someone in your life that's done and is even greater than where you are and where you desire to go. And so she's going to be sick of me in a little while. I'll be that one person that's like asking questions every time. But tell us, Melanie, what are you doing? I want to switch the conversation a little bit more to the feminine side, that feminine leadership, and how you do that and what you do, because it's so well needed in the world. Tell us.
So I really believe in life. It's not so much about what we do, it's who we are when we do it. I believe that money and success is the byproduct of the people we become. And so the work that I do with my clients is a lot of identity work. It's really going in and rewiring, not from this like alter ego place, but more so from a who the heck am I going to be now? Like like I've tested out all these different ways of being. I see what it gives me. Am I keeping this, or is there something else inside of me? Because the easiest thing for a person to do is to act in a way that feels right and correct with who they believe they are.
Yeah.
And so as we change who we believe we are, all the actions become easier to take, and where they come from is from a more empowered place. And so I work with my clients on a lot of inner work, emotional intelligence, world-class communication, image, like how you actually feel and perceive yourself, being unconventional, not needing to fit the mold, finding your own unique thing. And then the kind of skills that we work on are like storytelling, actually going out there and living your life, social media, how to actually create the image that you are really living, how instead of being this cookie cutter, what's going to get me likes, it's more like, what is my real true expression, where people just hire me when they find me because the evidence is there, I'm there, and it's easy to say yes. It's deep money work, it's leadership. It's a different angle, but it's becoming the one.
Yes.
And so I have helped so many women become multimillionaires, millionaires. The 6-figure month has been a thing I've celebrated so many times with so many clients. It's been extraordinary. First 6-figure years, also first 10K months, of course, and other programs and stuff. But people really come to me when they're ready to embody a next level of themselves. Not just what do I need to do in order to get that,
to that,
but
right.
I want to become this.
Yes.
And that's the work that I do with my clients. And so there's some people will jump in to my membership and do some of my programs. Some people choose to walk with me for a year and they're like, let's do this. Like, I want to walk with you for a whole year. I want to do the Alpha Femme experience, which is all my programs. And then I also have masterminds. And then there's a little more close proximity with me. You actually get to talk with me. You get to ask me questions on a weekly basis and we get to actually work together. And so there's just different levels of container based on where you're ready to jump in. But
Right.
I have people who come in because they want to hit their first 10K month, and I have people who come in because they want to scale to 8 figures. Like, there's no there the sky isn't even the limit.
It doesn't exist, I say. The sky doesn't have, okay. When you talk the sky's the limit, like, no, skies don't exist here. I love it.
that.
That's such an alignment. Oh my goodness. So tell me a little bit more about the energetic work and money manifestation really quick, so our audience could get a taste of what you do. Because when people hear about your background, they're, again, one thing you keep going back is becoming you. And I love to say becoming the best version of yourself, reconnecting with your true identity. And I say true because I feel like we come into this world already perfect, whole, and complete, and then stuff just keeps piling up and it blocks the view. So it's like a reconnection. And so I hear that coming from your work and from your stance and what you believe as well. So how do you help? How would you say to a person the energetics, when you talk about energetics and identity, what does that look like in a person just when you're working with someone?
So I think this is the easiest way to showcase it. So for me, I believe in the art of business. I don't believe in logical business for my own self. No, I don't believe it as a concept. I'm very clear, and I've seen the proof of concept for logical business as it's perfect. But for me, even in school, anything logical, streamlined, bored me, and I was unable to stay focused. What's always really got me is the art of something. The energy, the emotion, the magnetism, the feeling drawn to something, the inexplicable push and pull that ends up going in this business's favor no matter what. And a beautiful example I like is like the difference between trying to get a lot of buyers to buy a product versus the lineup to buy tickets at a Taylor Swift concert, the lineup to buy tickets at a Beyonce concert. Like, what are these people doing? Do you think they're sitting in a board meeting trying to think about logical ways of business? Or is it that there's something about who they are that people will line up in the cold to show up and watch what they've got to do? And so the art of business is about energetics. It's about knowing if what you're doing, you're trying to believe is going to work versus you really found a way to get solid in your beliefs and it feels correct. And so sometimes instead of making one big move that would feel like this should be what I should do, but you have a lot of resistance. And if I were to plug you into a machine and see how much you believe in what you're about to do, it wouldn't even move. Or if we have 3 moves and you believe in every single one of them and we end up in the same result, but you believe in all 3, what's more important is that you are in absolute vibrational alignment with everything that you're doing, that there's a feeling of excitement, alignment, yes energy, full body yes energy, instead of pushing yourself and trying to figure out how to do it and hoping and praying. It's like creating and knowing and being and building those frequencies. And so with money, it's the same thing. Like, there is the art of, which is a lot of the times the luxury. You know, how much do you need to sell a Louis Vuitton purse? 0. Because the people who walk into Louis Vuitton buy a Louis Vuitton because they've got the money for it. They don't buy it because they need a purse. That's not why you buy a Louis Vuitton purse. You buy it because you desire a purse. And if I were to walk into Louis Vuitton and someone were trying to sell me, I would be out of there in a second, because that's just, I don't need a Louis Vuitton purse. So luxury ends up being, the money flows like crazy.
Right.
They're the ones that least need to tell you, you need this, you need this, you need this. It's based on desire, identity. I'm the kind of person who would buy something like this, or I'm not the kind of person who would buy something like this.
Exactly.
It's very quick. It's not like I need to think about this for the rest of time. When you're really in vibrational alignment, you're like, this is it. Oh my gosh. You know, this is the new collection. It's available now. I'm in, it's done. So it's like speed It's alignment. And so those are the energetics, is you, instead of being in your head trying to figure out, you're on the field testing and not taking it personally when things don't work. It's like you're going at life like a mad scientist. Like what
Mm,
does this do? If I test this, what does it do? You know, if I try this, what does it do? Do I like that? Do I not like that? What am I keeping? What am I changing? And you become
right.
experienced, and then you've got stories, and they come from a place of truth, not just something you read in a book, something you literally tried out. You become an expert much faster. You become clear about what you believe in much faster, and everything starts to change because it's the truth of who you are, not something you tried on, borrowed, or pushed to try to achieve. It's literally the making of you in vibrational alignment every day.
Ooh, the making of you in vibrational alignment. Oh, she speaks my language. She speaks to my soul. And I know she's
Yay!
speaking to so many of you guys as well. Listen, that makes all the sense in the world. So, what about those opportunities I've had in my journey where I've been presented, can you be a part of this? And I felt like it was a total yes. It was a full body yes. Is it possible I can have a full body yes that only lasts for a short period of time? And going back to where you started, it's like, oh, I had this relationship. I kind of knew it wasn't an energetic match and I didn't let it go fast enough. 7 years went by and I tried to do everything and it didn't work out. What would you say to us as entrepreneurs who have those yeses, but because it was a yes and it was a full body yes, we got stuck at the time because we're like, well, it's only been a year. I should probably do another year. How do we face our full body yeses that becomes it's an end. It's an end. And how should we process that out and let it go?
We get a lot better at this with time. That's first thing. Like you know, there's women and men who really, there's people who really are excellent at this. And sometimes you'll see them, you'll be like, this person takes no BS from nobody. Like when they're done, it doesn't matter. That comes with experience. At first, we don't want to disappoint. We don't want to make a mistake. And so sometimes we stay in things longer, and sometimes we don't say yes because we're afraid we're going to mess it up. That's part of our learning. And so the way I
Mm,
like to see it is that I can't mess it up, because at the end of the day, I'm going to learn a lesson either way. If I leave too early, I'll have the story about how I learned what leaving too early feels like. If I stay too long, I'll have a real story about how I learned how staying too long feels like. I look at every single success and failure, triumph and pain I've been through in the last
yes.
20 years, and they make me a better mentor, better speaker, a better coach, a better person. So what does it matter? Even if I take a 1 year detour and stay somewhere too long for a year, you think that'll matter in 10 years from now when I have an excellent story and more conviction than I've ever had and an actual real example of what I need?
That's
That
right.
won't matter at all.
I just lectured on Friday to my adult students in the workforce trainings that I do. And I said, when you start looking at life as a win-win situation, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. A book that John Maxwell wrote. It's still a win. If you're winning, if you're winning, you're winning. You know, everyone loves it. Great success, right? I was successful at what I intended. But if you feel like you lost, but you learned from it, you have dubbed yourself a win-win situation. And there's no
Love
losing
it.
in the length of life in your lifespan. You will always evolve on top of game. And I say that's how you keep the ball in your court. So,
I love it.
so you just
In that, you can say I either win now or I win later, but either way I win.
there you go, because that win will add up because you have decided that I either win or I learn, and that makes me a winner all the way around. It's when you choose not to learn. It's when you just let that experience go and you get stuck moaning and groaning and complaining about how unfair life is and that you did everything right. But if God was really real or Mother Nature was even caring about human beings, and you could go on with all those sob stories. You don't hear that here, not because we don't feel. I would say Melanie can tell you she's felt sad, she's felt disappointed, she's felt upset, she's gotten in her mind and her headspace a little bit, but not as much as she used to back when she was in the car.
Exactly.
Right? It's a quick thing, like you said, we get better at time. So Melanie, real quick, if you could shed some light on what the woman, that feminine leader that's leading in her feminine, that just creates life, career, business, love on her own terms, what does she look like?
It's more what she feels like.
Ooh, come on, sister.
Yeah, like she wakes up in the morning and she's excited for what's next. Even when something's difficult or hard, she has a bigger reason of getting through it than just she's afraid of looking bad or she's sick of bad things happening. Like she's got a much bigger reason than that. There's people she cares about. There's a mission she stands for. There's even a trust that this will make a great story one day. And she's already wondering, if this is going to be a story one day, then how do I want to tell it? How did I wake up the day after this hard thing happened to me? What did I do next? Let me write the story. She celebrates her wins unapologetically and she doesn't worry about who'll think she's too much and who'll get triggered or bothered by her wins. She finds the places where people want to win alongside her. And when things are difficult, she finds people to inspire her and she finds people who, have failed also and can really be compassionate without needing to fix her or give her unsolicited advice, that can actually hold space for a moment of sadness and then say, are we ready to go? She feels confident. And sometimes if she feels wobbly, she feels like she trusts it'll come back. She allows herself to have a sad moment and she actually experiences that sadness in a more romantic way, in a beautiful sadness. She enjoys life. She feels younger somehow, like more of her life is in the future than it is behind her. She feels like the best is yet to come. She's excited easily about things because it feels like she hasn't seen anything yet. She's constantly interested in how her impact on people will help them, will matter. And so she presents herself differently. She's more aware of herself. She enjoys herself and her own company. She's got always something interesting to talk about, but she's an amazing listener. She's constantly looking to see what valuable things she can pull from a situation, a conversation, or a stranger. She's alive. She's awake. She's up to something. She's creative. She's passionate. Like those are things that she feels.
Oh my goodness. It's what she feels. It's her energy, it's her vibration, it's her thought life about herself.
Yeah.
You did not list anything that said out external validation. And this is what I pray that all the women listening to this podcast and listen to it over and over, because that's what I love about podcasts. It's perpetual. Unless the servers break down or something, it's always there. You go back and hear that woman and start to connect with that energy that Melanie so delivered. And that we're here on screen and I could feel that coming off of her the entire conversation. It's what she embodies. And so if you guys just find her. So Melanie, we do something here that's called Flip the Script. It's just a little fun game about how you switched your mindset. So I want to do that with you. And a lot of people are always excited to hear what the guests will say based on the power you brought already. Can you share a pivotal, well, you already did, I'm not going to ask you, how did you truly would say that you took your life single-handedly? If you had to name it one thing, what did you shift? What did you do that took your life on the trajectory path that you are now and where you're headed? Because it's a continuum, right?
I decided that I matter.
Ooh, she decided that she mattered. Oh my goodness. Second thing, how do you define success?
Fulfillment.
That's beautiful. What's next for Melanie? What's the next big goal and what's the next big mindset that's required to achieve that?
At this stage, I still don't actually have a website. I have sales pages that explain some of my offers, but I still don't have a lot of the things that, we just celebrated $80 million yesterday, $80 million for the brand. And I'm excited to see, the journey to 100 million, which none of it changed my spirit, which I'm so happy about. It's just like more evidence that miracles can happen, more relationships, more clients, more help, more giving back, more of that. But it really is like I'm the same core human. And so I want to keep that all throughout the journey. I want to make sure that by the time I get to that $100,000 or $100 million mark, that we're still in vibrational alignment with all that we believe. But I also want to see what else can I create that makes it even easier for my students to learn from me and from the women that walk shoulder to shoulder with me in my masterminds, my programs. How do I make it an even better experience for them? And honestly, visibility, because I have actually stayed very small, all things considering. I have never written a book, or I've never spoken on a big stage, or, I've built my entire business organically. So who knows, maybe there's something more public in the future, maybe something like a book, or a reason that I get picked up by something, or more people know me, or I don't know, there's those kinds of things I'm kind of playing with. But what matters to me the most and the biggest thing is more success for my clients, more fulfillment for my clients, more joy for my clients, more messages of triumph from my clients. If we can do that, and that's what paves the way to 100 million, I'm going to do the moonwalk all the way there.
I love it. And this is a thing that was so unique about your platform. When I was, pitched it for you to be a guest on the show, it's like, where has she been?
Yeah.
But then she's great. I feel like someone listening to us, please catch that, because a lot of us believe that we need all the social media likes, shares, and applause to live our best version of ourselves and create great impact where we help other people. Some of my biggest wins and the most money I've made, no one knows. It's not posted online. It's not anywhere, even though over time I've picked up somewhat of a social media following and all that. I tell people I post and I move on. Like, I've had to be coached just to keep organized on Instagram, and I still try, but it doesn't make me any better. And I want those who are listening, if you're doing the work, if it comes for you that you get to do the work and you're doing the work and you're crushing it, maybe visibility comes after, but then your thing just goes different. Melanie said, I didn't even do well in school. That's the genius. And I've been a teacher, Melanie. So trust me, without being harsh on anybody, it's part of my issues with the education system, because we miss the geniuses, because we want to keep everybody in convention and we don't allow people. I think the best thing we can do is teach our children how to think. And so when you get to create a business and that matters, it's so much to your heart, it becomes more impactful if you just don't follow the trends. And so I know that we are going to be hearing, we'll see you on huge stages, because I feel like I know you are a thought leader, and this energy and this voice, what I've heard today is just, it's going to, I mean, you can do it. You can pay for it if you want to at this point, but you haven't. You've just organically allowing your soul and your energy to lead you to that. So I know, congratulations already. And by then I would be one of your students that are in your mastermind yearly. So I will be there in the back somewhere, very close. I look forward to it. I'm manifesting in this moment, because when you know. So yeah. Melanie, tell us, how do we find you? Because I did find your pages, so I know what you're doing and I know how to pay, but tell us how to connect with you so we can be part of the tribe.
The best way is to follow along on social media. So either on Facebook, just add me as a friend on Facebook, Melanie Ann Layer, or on Instagram. So my account on Instagram is Melanie Ann Layer, or I have an Alpha Femme account also on Instagram. Just stay connected. You'll usually see whatever's up in there. And then you just DM. It's so simple, yes, but that's what it is. You're like, how do I? And we'll figure it out.
It works. Just go ahead, guys. And it's also in the description, wherever you're watching or seeing this. You can connect with her and this beautiful energy and just follow along and get involved. You need to do some of this work, and you want to go to your next level by first connecting with yourself and launching for it and getting the guidance on how to do it. Melanie and her team has definitely got you in that. Melanie, this has been a fantastic. I was excitedly nervous about this interview, but I guess that's because all the good that was coming for me. I'm always a student first in this podcast journey. I learn from my guests and I grow from the experience, and then we just get to share it with the world. So thank you so much. Before we pull off, I just have to step away from the microphone for about 2 minutes and just let you speak whatever is on your mind. We call it Mindset Bites to Go. So I'm going to pull off screen and let you go for it with the viewers and listeners, so they can get one last really good thing to take home. It's all yours.
Awesome. The one thing I wish I could just tell everyone on the planet is I don't know if we're actually meant to become one thing. I don't know that the goal is that you find out what your one best version of you is, and then you find that one best version, and then you be that for the rest of your life. I don't even know if that's really the goal. Because where I found most of my joy is in every little memory that has made my life feel like a movie. Driving in a convertible up the California coast and putting my feet in the ocean in Hawaii with a flower crown on my head and wearing jewels on my fingers and toes as I walked in Dubai, or, having this identity, this feeling. Even I bought properties thinking, that's what you need to do. You've got to have a lot of properties, and I have them, and I'm like, I have 3 now, and I feel like if I had another one, I wouldn't know how to manage it. It's so much energy to manage. And I think I want to go and I want to stay in the most incredible hotels. I want to stay in a house overlooking the ocean in a place that I'll maybe go to once and keep the memory forever. I want to be able to test drive every car there is out there. I don't want to have one car and wonder if I should have another car. I feel like a lot of times we think there's going to be this one perfect moment that we have everything and we have everything. I don't know if it's about having everything. My real feeling about this life is it's about becoming everything, touching as much as it matters to you, experiencing as much as you can, tasting, touching, smelling, discovering, experiencing, like actually saying, let me see if this is part of me. If for those of you who may have traveled in your life, you've seen, you go to a place, you come back with a little part of you didn't know existed. Maybe that's what it's about. It's about meeting people and having opportunities and having discussions like this. And then the money is there so that you can say yes when it matters. But maybe it's not about having everything you think will make you the best version of you. Maybe it's about finding who you were in every different version, in every single story, in every opportunity, in every memory, so that at the end of your life, when you look back, there's just a firework show of memories of every unique way that you've been, of every unique day that you felt, of every different place you've been and person you spoke to, of every conversation that took your breath away, of every unique day that was never the same twice, instead of trying to lock in the safety that I think so many of us run after our whole lives. And so instead of becoming that one version of me that I think is the best and holding on to her forever, I'm playing the game of being the best version of me every day and seeing how great eventually I can be. But in the end, it'll just be memories. So many memories I have in my past and so many memories that are yet to come. I want to give myself space to be able to pivot and change my mind and want something different. I want to be able to say that was a phase and it was amazing and now I'm in this phase. I want to be able to prioritize one thing and then prioritize a different thing. And I want to be able to change my mind. I want to be able to change my environment. I want to be able to change as often as I want. And so it could be that for you, it's in big chunks of time. It's in saying, let me figure out how the next 5 years how I want to live the next 5 years and how I want to live the next 10 years. But ultimately, the goal is finding out all of your potential and living as full as you can. And that's attached to becoming the most limitless version of you, the most abundant version of you, where you can say yes when it matters and you can try out anything you might question is maybe better for you, because who knows, until the very last day we're here, there might be something else we didn't know was better. So let's always have the ability, the courage, the energy, and the vision to be able to go find out all the things that were ours to be and do and have during this lifetime.
Oh my goodness. You are amazing. I absolutely took all that into my soul. Melanie, your insights and your inspiration has been invaluable to the show. I am just so grateful to have you. And thank you so much for being here on Mindset Mastery Moments. And I know these sound bites will radiate through the lives of so many people and change. You will continue to be the light that you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'll see you on the internet.
I'll see you on the internet too. So until next time, disruptors, stay empowered and aligned with your dreams. And remember, how does it really feel for you? Coming from our guest today, she says, go where your energy is, where that full body yes is. This is what I took. And just go from there. Go in and then go out. Until next time, see you later. Bye.